I want to share a story with you. I once was working with a third generation family business, and I was helping them transform their business. And I was given a lot of decision-making power. I chose the software, I built the process, I structured the team, and I mapped out a solid, rock solid plan. And when I was on site, everything went well. But when I flew home and I wasn't there, things kind of just fell to the wayside, or they just reverted back to old habits. And I'm embarrassed to say it today, but I really did blame this on them. And I would say things like, if they would just listen, if they would follow that plan, if they would get out of their own way. Well, it took me years and actually becoming a certified coach to finally see the truth. The problem wasn't them, it was actually me. Hi, I'm Sheila, and here on this channel we talk about midlife leadership, the kind that's really less about bossing and controlling and much more about clarity. This is a place for women who are done with carrying all the weight, who are done with bossing their way through burnout, and who are ready to lead with presence and not pressure. It took me a long time to realize this, but here's the truth. I didn't need to have all the answers. You know, they already knew their business better than I could ever know it or ever would. I was brought in to help solve problems, but that didn't mean that I had to be the one to solve all of them. It meant that I needed to participate in that. The real job wasn't to dictate change. It was to guide a conversation, ask better questions, and help them discover the solution that they already had inside of them. Because when change is their idea, when they have ownership, not just instructions, it sticks. So here's how I made that change. I started asking more and not telling more. I shifted from things like, here's how to do this, or here's what we should do, and I moved to, what do you think is working now? Where are things breaking down? Show me, or what would make this better for your team? The answers were already in the room. They already knew. I just had to stop talking long enough to hear them. I had to really, really listen. Number two, I got out of the way. That's super important. I stepped back and I let them shape that process. And they did that based on what they already knew. They already know what they needed. They already know what worked. They're already in real time. I just had to be there to help maybe kind of facilitate that some. The moment that they felt like they had built the change and that it hadn't just been handed to them, that's when everything shifted. When people have a hand in designing the solution, they're not going to sabotage it. They're going to protect it. They participated. They led it. They'll bring others with them. So if you let them be part of the process, they will be. And again, it took me a long time to figure out that I didn't have to have the answers. That if I involved everyone else, I don't feel that pressure of having to be the smartest person in the room. We're there together to find a solution. So luckily, that project didn't fail, but I almost did. And that's because I was doing all of the heavy lifting. And I thought that that's what good leaders were supposed to do. Carry the vision, push the plan, fix all the problems. But what I've learned, especially as a midlife leader, is that leadership, it isn't about doing more. It's about creating space for others to do their best work. And that space only opens up when you stop controlling and you start trusting. More like asking instead of telling, listening instead of assuming. Let others lead instead of always leading for them. And that's when people engage. That's when teams transform. And that's when you're going to stop feeling like the only grown-up in the room. And you're going to start feeling like a real leader again. And not because you had all the answers, but because you created the clarity for others to find their own way. If you're in a place right now where you're carrying the load, you're wondering why things aren't sticking, you're questioning if you're doing something wrong, I want to tell you that you're not. You're not broken, you're not doing it wrong, you're evolving. And sometimes the strongest things that we can do as leaders is to admit that maybe it's not about doing more, it's about leading differently. That's the realization that changed everything for me. So here's my question for you. Where, oh where, might you need to stop bossing and start coaching? Drop a comment below and let me know your story. I would love to know how you're transitioning from being a boss to a leader, and I'd love to know what things are working with your team. Leave a comment, click the like button, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the next one.